Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's unilateral plans for the West Bank areas is still advancing, and Hamas has come out to say that the declaration of annexation is a declaration of war, adding Israel will pay a hefty price.
We are living in a dangerous reality, while the enemy is planning to draw the hugest theft plan for decades in the name of annexation of the West Bank and the Jordan Valley. We want to assure you that the Palestinian plan is to kick out the occupation from all the land of historical Palestine.
Thank you for staying with us. We move now to a developing story. It is understood that Israeli officials are on their way back home from the United States. This comes after an unnamed White House official has said that this meeting has ended without a clear decision, leaving many who have been following this story with even more questions. Is Israel going to go forward with its plan of annexation, or will it not? And where does America stand in all this? Now, joining us to develop this story further is the former ambassador for congressional affairs to the United States from Israel, Yoram Ettinger. Yoram, thank you so much for joining us. Now, first, I just want to get a sense from you. What do you make of this? A White House meeting took place. Many people in Israel were probably also watching this meeting, even officials in Israel, but no conclusive sort of direction, nothing coming out of it. What does that say to you?
Well, in my mind, it's a humiliating experience for Israel, a sovereign country which awaits a green line from the White House in order to advance its own national security. I think it's time for Israel to resurrect the legacy of Ben-Gurion, who declared independence while President Truman was still wavering. Ben-Gurion, who expanded the area of Israel during the war of independence by about 30% in defiance of American pressure, in defiance of international pressure. Prime Minister Eshkol, who reunited Jerusalem in defiance of global and American pressure. Golda Meir, who expanded Jewish settlements beyond the Green Line in defiance of American pressure. Begin, who applied Israeli law to the Golan Heights in defiance of American pressure. Independent countries must reserve the independence of national security action. And certainly when it comes to the Trump plan, this is a plan which also includes the principle of a Palestinian state which no Arab country wants. Certainly Israel should not agree to that. Arabs talk about the Palestinians in a very warm manner, but the Arab walk on the Palestinian issue is very, very cold, in fact, very antagonistic, and for a reason. And this is the track record of the Palestinians when it comes to treating other Arabs, which means a track record of subversion and terrorism against Arab countries. I think it's time for Israel, definitely, but also for the U.S. to ask ourselves, what do Arabs know about Palestinians, which leads them to basically oppose a Palestinian state?
Yoram, I definitely understand what you're saying with these historical anecdotes and the fact that Israel didn't always stay with the stream that the United States set forth for them. However, it has to be acknowledged that we're dealing with a slightly different context here, if not even for the mere fact that the coronavirus pandemic in Israel has been raging on in a way that it's occupying a lot of Israel's time and energy and resources. Do you not think that maybe it's a little bit rushed for Israel to go forward with this plan, even if it has every right to do so without consulting with the United States? All of this could have repercussions that Israel would be suffering and not necessarily any other country.
Well, I don't see any downside. Obviously, there are no free lunches, and you have to be ready to pay, certainly, for your rights here, and equally speaking, for your national security. But I hear many people here in Israel, many of them former top military generals and intelligence officers, but I also remember that they embraced the Oslo process as a great message for peace, and we have been victimized to an unprecedented wave of terrorism because of the Oslo Accord. Those are the same officers who called for Israel to get off the Golan Heights in return for an agreement with Syria. Those are the officers who praised the ingenuity of disengagement from Gaza, and they expected it to enhance peace. Instead, Tel Aviv is now targeted by terrorists from Gaza. And when it comes to downside, I also hear that supposedly Jordan would be very antagonistic. Anyone who says that must assume that peace between Jordan and Israel is a Jordanian gesture towards Israel. Peace between Jordan and Israel serves Jordan's national security interest. Jordan considers Israel to be its most effective line of defense. Israel is perceived by Jordan to be the most credible life insurance agency or agent in the Middle East, and Jordan is not going to cut its nose despite its face. They are going to flood us with pro-Palestinian protests, but the walk is going to be as it has been from day one. Let's remember, Jordan occupied Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, back in 1949, 1950. They did not transfer it to the Palestinians. They prohibited any Palestinian national activity in Judea and Samaria in the West Bank for a reason. The Hashemite regime of Jordan believes, and logically speaking, they are right, that a Palestinian state west of the river would doom the Hashemites east of the Jordan River. We should protect the Hashemite regime by bolstering our presence, not by retreating from Judea and Samaria.
Yoram Ettinger, thank you so much for your time. Of course, just remains another 6 days until we see exactly what Israel decides to do. And staying with the story, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's unilateral plans for the West Bank areas is still advancing, and Hamas has come out to say that a declaration of annexation is a declaration of war, adding Israel will pay a hefty price.
We are living in a dangerous reality, while the enemy is planning to draw the hugest theft plan for decades in the name of annexation of the West Bank and the Jordan Valley. We want to assure you that the Palestinian plan is to kick out the occupation from all the land of historical Palestine. We won't talk a lot about the plan. We won't speak about it a lot, but we will say a few clear words, and the occupation should understand them, and whoever is standing behind them. The resistance is looking at this decision as a declaration of war on the Palestinian people. The resistance in this war will be the guardian to protect our nation and our land, and we will make the occupation bite the finger of regret for this decision.
Well, in the Israeli side of the border, the annexation plans have initiated military plans. Israel's alternate prime minister and defense minister, Benny Gantz, has been directly involved in creating those plans, and now he's responding to the rhetoric we heard there. Here's Gantz earlier at the pilot's graduation ceremony.
The Hamas leaders that are fueling rhetoric, I urge you to remember, you'll be the first one to pay the price if you act on your aggression. The IDF is the strongest army in the region, and the cost of any attempt to hurt Israeli citizens will be painful and powerful.